Pogba speaks out. Rooney sets up United's return. There's a Messi mess at Barcelona. We've got a transfer roundup and this week's great debate all coming up in the next few minutes as I'm your host, Matt Fodick, here with the Onefootballers, and this is the Daily News. First up, and to Paul Pogba, who according to various sources within the Manchester United dressing room has told his teammates that he wants to leave the club. What a surprise. He's actually only featured 6 times for Manchester United this season and has been injured pretty much for the whole campaign. Because of this, you would have thought that his transfer value was going down. And also add on to the fact that he's only got 18 months left on his Manchester United contract. But no! There are early reports that if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants him to leave the club, he's still going to ask around £150 million. Surely there is no one who's going to be paying that kind of money. I'm not saying Paul Pogba isn't a great player, because on his day, we've seen, especially with France, he could be phenomenal. One of the best midfielders in the world. I'd probably place him at around 80 to 100 million. There's no way he's going to be worth 150 million. Anyway, whether or not he actually leaves the club is what we'll have to wait and see in the summer in what is sure to be a turbulent time, well, for most players. Basically, if Pogba doesn't play for the rest of the season for United, but then turns up dramatically and has an unbelievable Euro 2020 campaign in France, many questions will be asked, and he'll probably be asked to leave the club anyway. It's clear that he is still a popular figure within the dressing room and is still one of the most talented players at the club, but if you can't get him on the field, there's probably no point in having him. Moving on though, and to a really good night of FA Cup action. Wayne Rooney set up the dream return to play against Manchester United for Derby County as they beat Northampton Town 4-2. Not only is this an unbelievable return for Rooney, well, it's probably only the only chance he'll get at it, especially within the next few years. Derby are currently 10 points off the playoff places in the Championship, and it looks highly unlikely they'll get into them, and so won't be getting promoted. And unless Manchester United get relegated, I'm not sure those two will be crossing paths apart from in the cup competitions. Elsewhere though, Newcastle were taken to extra time by Oxford United to reach the 5th round for the first time in 15 years. Alain Saint-Maximin hit the winner in extra time against Oxford to win 3-2, and it means they'll be joining Liverpool in the FA Cup 5th round, and their kids who managed to beat Shrewsbury 1-0 at Anfield. It was an incredible night for all the youngsters, especially for Curtis Jones, who became the youngest ever captain of the club. What it does mean though, and this is actually a little bit harsh on them, is that Liverpool play against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge in the next round of the Cup. The players who got them there definitely deserve to play, but are we realistically going to see Jurgen Klopp go with the young side against Chelsea? I highly doubt it. No offence to the other teams that they've played, especially not to Everton, but a full-strength Chelsea side would beat these youngsters. I know Liverpool fans, you want to big up your youngsters, and I know they played really well. I just can't see them beating a full-strength Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. I think Klopp will be there for it, and I think so will all the big guns. And speaking of cup action, last night also saw the DFB Pokal, which is Germany's version of the FA Cup, which saw heavyweights Leipzig and Dortmund both knocked out of the competition after conceding 3 goals. Erling Haaland did get on the score sheet though, meaning he now has 8 in 4 games. Anyway, moving on to the apparent mess that's circling Lionel Messi and the rest of the club at Barcelona. It also involves Eric Adibal. The former player who holds a rather senior position at the club was saying that he didn't think things were quite right under former manager Ernesto Valverde. He said he could sense that things weren't going well in the dressing room, that players weren't giving their all on the pitch. He relayed this information to the board, and then Valverde was sacked. This angered Lionel Messi, and he refuted the claims on Instagram, saying that although the players take responsibility on the pitch, those at the rest of the club in higher positions should also take responsibility themselves, and they should also name names if they think something is going wrong. On the back of this, there is an emergency meeting that's being held this morning at Barcelona with Josep Bartomeu, the president, and Eric Adibal. We'll wait to see what the outcome of that meeting is. Although, personally, if anything happens with Lionel Messi, he brings up any sort of issue, the club are definitely going to back him over literally anybody else. Eric Adibal also did say in this interview though that a new contract for Lionel Messi is currently being negotiated. But moving on to the rest of the day's roundup of the news. And first off, Atletico Madrid are keeping an eye on Mauricio Pochettino should they get rid of Diego Simeone in the summer. Leroy Sané could be heading Juventus if he doesn't head to Bayern Munich. That's according to Italian newspapers. Manchester United have switched their attentions from James Maddison to Jack Grealish, with the Leicester City player close to agreeing a new deal. And lastly but not least, it is one of the holiest days in football history. Today, the 5th of February, is the birthday of Carlos Tevez, Neymar, and Cristiano Ronaldo. What a ridiculously talented birthday. So finally, we come to this week's great debate. You guys know what it is, where our OneFootball newsroom pose a question to everybody. You can see our answers in the relevant article in the OneFootball app. But for the comment section, we want to know, where is Pep Guardiola going to turn up next? So there's been a few rumours flying about Guardiola's future, especially being so far behind Liverpool in the league. And if they don't win the Champions League, things will probably take a turn for the worse. Personally, I think he's going to end up at Juventus next. It seems to be Guardiola's sort of thing. He goes to the biggest and best club, and whether it's for his ego or just to go and be part of these massive teams, it looks like he wants to go and make the best players better. Sort of turn them into his own philosophy and really show the world how football should be played at the highest level. There's been Barcelona, then to Bayern, then to Manchester City, and I think Juventus will be next. PSG fans, you'll have to wait your turn. So there you have it. There is the great debate and the rest of the daily news. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comment section below. Smash the like button whilst you're there, and you can also click here or here to check out all of the other videos we've got going on OneFootball. But until next time, I'll see you guys later.